Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Quant Network, aka QNT, and we're actually going to be addressing why I do believe that almost every individual in this space should hold at least 10 QNT. Funny enough, there's probably not as much supply out there for everyone to actually hold 10 QNT, at least for the current scale of crypto. But when we talk about Quant and when we talk about QNT, we're really going to be addressing exactly why you should be holding 10 QNT. Obviously, this would cost you about roughly almost $650. It might not be as easy for typical individuals right now. I do know that times are rough, and I do apologize for that. As we do continue to see inflation and things like that rising, I do believe that digital assets and crypto in general definitely is an area that I think individuals should be focusing on. Obviously, do not overinvest and overstretch your boundaries, because of course right now is the best time to kind of just try to stay within a nice range on spending and also investments and things like that. Definitely have a nice balance. I think having a balance definitely helps a lot. But when we do talk about Quant, the reason why I say holding 10 could really basically just change your entire life, and also why you should be holding at least 10, is just simply because of the upside potential here. We've always compared Quant to kind of like Bitcoin, if you will, in terms of like a supply range, right? Because of the supply range, there's 33% less, Quant for, Bitcoin, if you will. We look at the total addresses, we're sitting at about 51,000, while, Bitcoin is nearing like 50 million. And honestly, we are extremely early into what Quant is actually building. And I do think that when we talk about the fundamentals behind something like Quant, it is pretty significant. Obviously, fundamentals don't really matter too much right now, and neither do utility, because of course we're not in a utility or even a fundamental market. We're still kind of in a speculative base market, which I've always addressed multiple times. But you could definitely see exactly how early we are in terms of what Quant basically is building compared to what we are seeing basically be built out right now within this market. And I don't know why Steppen basically came up when I did try to click Bitcoin. But when we do look at Bitcoin in terms of the numbers, it is staggering compared to Quant when you do look at the total addresses. So I was actually wrong. I thought that we were at like about 45 million on this, but we're actually at about like almost 41 million in terms of the total addresses. But it's still pretty significant and staggering compared to what Quant is doing. Now let's actually talk about this. So first off, I do want to talk to you guys about some price action movements for QNT in terms of price predictions. But obviously I want to give you guys a base point on this, that I'm going to be talking to you guys about the timeline here of about 5 to 10 years. And obviously, we could talk about like even 3 years by 2025. But we do see here, Dread Bongo basically saying, if you're working on a 5 to 10 year time frame or a time horizon, if you will, these valuations should start looking tasty. Questions I ask: do I think Quant, is on path to reach their goals within 10 years? Yes. Will this increase their valuation? Yes. Does this make QNT currently undervalued? Yes. And I definitely do think that Quant is going to achieve their goal, and their goal to a lot of individuals could be, considered, in a different way, right? You could have, it's going to connect the world, it's going to be the interoperability bridge between crypto and the legacy networks, or it's just simply going to be that, token that is being utilized for CBDCs, if you will, which again is still kind of playing into the second one. When I look at Quant and I look at their vision, I do believe that this is going to be the interoperability bridge between almost every single day life. I think that everything is going to be disrupted at some point in time by something like Quant. And the only reason why I say something like Quant is we never know what is really kind of up the elite sleeve and what they are going to be building. But in my opinion, with Quant's overall patent technology and with what they have been building and what they have been showing, I would say, and I would make a very, very large bet that Quant is going to be the clear chosen one in terms of the interoperability solution. So let's actually look at a few things. So I just included this tweet in my XRP video where it was saying, just in, U.S. Senator Loomis's Bitcoin bill will fully integrate digital assets into our financial system. Definitely not just like a Bitcoin bill, but it's a crypto bill if you think about it, and a digital asset bill that's going to basically, fully adopt in digital assets into the current financial system. I do believe that our, financial infrastructure is going to be completely changed And I do think that we are on this pivotal moment in time where, we are waiting for, full-on confirmation of us kind of ushering into the digital age. And I think that that's going to happen in time. And I do think that by 2025, things are going to look extremely different. Now, as we do really kind of look at what Quant is doing, there's a ton of things that they're focused on. We actually do see our insurance POV on the new Q&T website, yet another sector, and looks like a giant, client. Anybody got ideas what/who it would be? And shout out to Son NL11 here. I'm going to be utilizing 2 tweets by him. But we do see here Ghost got ideas, and we do see down here, we have already spoken to B3I and insurance companies. There's a lot of use cases in the sector, and I definitely do think that there's a ton of use cases here. We also do see B3I, Focus Insurance, Blockchain Infrastructure, Corda, Tech Partners. We do see R3. There's a ton of members here as well, as you guys do see in terms of the members. SBI Group is also one of them. Allianz, if you will, is also one. So there's some significant names here. I do think that this is going to most likely continue to build out in terms of some major clients that they are going to reach out to. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this be built out fully. There's a ton of other industries, by the way. If you go to their website, I love their website, by the way, their new one at least. Their old one was kind of a little, if you will, timeful. But when we look at what they are basically focused on here in terms of some of these solutions, you guys do see like digital currencies, payments, supply chain and trade finance, capital markets, compliance, and insurance. I'm actually going to be sharing with you guys the supply chain and trade finance area because I think that this is actually pretty significant. We've talked about Zinfin within trade finance, and I think that that's a great area that blockchain is really kind of disrupting. So for Quant to actually be building out some bridges here, I think that this is actually very interesting. We do see blockchains are bringing clarity and certainty to areas such as procurement, logistics, providence, customs, and payments, helping to make notoriously complex global supply chains more efficient. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because when we look at things happening right now around blockchain technology and DLTs and things like that, we could definitely see exactly where we are on, in terms of like a pivotal moment. I think that when we talk about the challenge here, first off, interoperability definitely is a key one, but I also think that regulatory clarity is also another one. I think that when we talk about DLTs and when we talk about trade finance and things like that, I think that digitization is definitely going to be the biggest spotlight of success. Now, of course, we're not going to see adoption of, again, when we talk about DLTs, we're not going to see mass adoption of this without that, interoperability bridge. And Quant has that, interoperability bridge through an API gateway. Also, I love the fact that they added Overledger, integrate, and Overledger tokenize here as well. They included a ton of, some pretty cool Easter eggs here, and I'm actually very excited to go through this entire website a little bit more in depth. I didn't really get any time from yesterday's video to really kind of look at this in depth, but I definitely do think that their approach here is pretty significant. It's straightforward. It's the idea that they are also realizing that we're basically ushering in a DLT future, and we're not going to basically see that DLT future without interoperability. And talking about interoperability, we do see over here another paper on how easy interoperability is as basically an open blockchains compared to interoperability of private DLTs like Hyperledger Corda. Q&T is still the only project who truly fixed multi-chain. Flare, Axelar, Layer 0, Dot, Atom, etc. can't do private DLT interoperability. And we do see here the permissioned or permissionless blockchains. There are currently several solutions that provide interoperability. This is challenging to achieve, but still feasible due to the open nature of these systems. When it comes to permission blockchains, the situation is more challenging. These blockchains are opaque, and thus it is against their nature to share the internal state with the outside world. Now, of course, we do see a few, to add. There are non-crypto solutions out there that can do enterprise DLT multi-chain. I would buy DAML if, they had a token. Yeah, DAML is actually pretty significant, but again, I do still think that Quant is going to win the game in terms of their API gateway for DLTs and things like that. Also, we just hear a bonus one. You never see other crypto interoperability solutions involved at scale. The trillion-dollar initiatives are currently happening on the likes of Corda and Hyperledger private DLT. Private to private basically is the toughest form of interoperability at MIT, solved by Q&T gateways. And like I said, these gateways are huge. These are API gateways that are plug and play. They happen in instant time. They're basically 3 lines of code, and they are probably one of the most significant use cases to date within interoperability in the interoperability sector. So very excited for this to actually be ushered in, and I do think that, again, these 3-line code gateways are huge. Now let's talk about a few things. So first off, financial institutions, enterprises, and then we are going to address the partners of Quant. So first off, I just want to really quickly say, let's talk about some price predictions real quick, and let's talk about why 10, Q&T basically will change your life. So $650 in to get 10 Q&T right now. 10 at, $10,000 would be $100,000. So 650 to 10,000 or $100,000 is pretty significant, and that's at $10,000. At $1,000, it's worth $10,000, and at $100,000, it's worth $1 million. It's not going to happen overnight. Do not expect to become a millionaire off of $650 in overnight or anything like that into Quant. Quant is going to take some time to get to that point. Like I said, 5 to 10 years is pretty feasible when we look at this. I always look at Bitcoin's price action, and we didn't even get to $100,000 yet on Bitcoin. We got pretty close, obviously, but it took many, many years to get to this point. You got to understand that it actually took Bitcoin overall about roughly, we'll just say, like 11 years almost to get to this point. So obviously, that 5 to 10 year time frame is pretty significant for a $100,000 Q&T. Now let's talk about why it would get to that point. So we're on the who. Who are they building for? Financial institutions. Whether you work for a bank, an investment firm, or other financial institution, blockchain allows you to exchange information and assets more securely and cost effectively. Your challenge, though, is how to implement it simply while protecting your existing IT investments. Now, of course, we do see here an empowered, interconnected world. The DLT market was valued at about $3 billion in 2020 and is expected to grow to almost $40 billion by 2025. Why? Because it has the potential to deliver immense benefits for enterprises across almost any industry, new revenue streams, and being created, cost cut, and risk mitigated. Now, when we talk about this, I do believe that these forecasts are actually a little bit conservative. I think that we could probably hit, a much higher, price valuation for these. But also I do think that the DLT market is continuously growing, as we do see, a main focus point on like payments, digital currencies, CBDCs, etc., and things like that. I think that there's so much more, to these markets. You got to think about it like this, right? Tokenization. Tokenization is going to take over at a rapid pace. There's going to be trillions of dollars to focus on in there. Also, DLTs are definitely in a lot of markets in regards to like cross-border payments. That is $156 trillion plus. These are very large markets. These are very large market valuations as well that we are basically going after. Now, again, we won't achieve that without that interoperability bridge between it. And like I said, that's where Quant comes in. Quant is also here for, again, enterprises, whether it's cross-border payments, supply chain challenges, or raising capital. Blockchain enables enterprises operating in multiple markets to exchange information and assets more securely and cost-effectively. They are mentioning cross-border payments. Cross-border payments are huge. Like I said, $156 trillion by itself right there. And again, it kind of repeats exactly what the other slide did say. But when we talk about enterprises and financial institutions, there's a ton of money and there's a ton of names still kind of waiting on the sidelines for regulatory clarity to be ushered in. Now, that's going to really kind of change the entire broad landscape of crypto to, more of a fundamental and utility-driven market. I think that that's actually going to push us away from a speculative market finally. And I think that that's where the true value really kind of lies within a lot of these major, names, like for an example, Quant. And like I said, in terms of Quant and the value proposition here, and, how do we get to those, massive price valuations of us, like getting to like $10,000 to $100,000, if you will. When we look at things happening, right? So I know that they're mentioning, this slide again, but I want to talk to you guys about the connections here. So LAC Chain, Oracle, and Nexi. These are giants. These are massive names. LAC Chain we've talked about multiple times, connecting massive amounts of, major areas. We've talked about Oracle. We've talked about Nexi just yesterday. Nexi is a huge giant. They're building out some pretty significant things with the digital euro. I think that when we talk about a lot of these names, these are the names that are basically building the foundation for what Quant is essentially becoming. And of course, you guys can see, the areas here. Distribution partners, bundle Quant products and networks into customized solutions for your clients. We provide the technology, provide the integration, consulting, and support services that will help your clients maximize its benefits. Like for an example, like Nexi, right? Nexi with SIA has a connection to 570 plus banks. And like I said, they are building out the, digital euro. This is significant. when we talk about the value locked behind a lot of these partnerships, it's pretty significant when you look at it on a scale basis. I've always said that when you look at something like Quant, it's hard to put a valuation on something like this because we still don't know how much money is actually going to move through DLTs. We could only speculate so much. Like for an example, we look at a few like XRP, right? We look at XRP and we're like, well, with XRP, they are going after Nostro Vostro accounts, which is $27 trillion. They're also going after cross-border payments, which is $156 trillion. They're going after, line of credit with SMEs, and that's just one asset, right? That's just one token here in terms of like a settlement token on a payment network. And then you look at like HBAR, you look at XDC, you look at XLM. Like these are other, assets that are going after many other markets and also similar markets. And then like you also look at, the other categories within this market like DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse, etc. Like there's so much being built here, and there's still so much to interconnect with Quant. So when we talk about the possibilities for price action, I do believe that we will get to $10,000. I think that we will get to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, etc. But it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. Got to remember that Quant is still a fairly new token itself. Quant is not like Bitcoin. It didn't come out at around like the same time as like Ethereum or XRP, etc. It's still a very new token. It's still a very new project. But in the short term, that they have been around, they have built out some solid things. Like for an example, we go back in time to like 2018, right? They were trading at about like 23 cents. And ever since then, we grew massively in terms of this massive ballooning price that we have for us. But when we talk about what Quant is doing and how early we actually are, they have been building for about almost like 4+ years. But Gilbert Verdian has been in the game for a very long time, and his vision still, remains true here. We are lacking interoperability within this market. We are still, in that point of we still see mass adoption happening for digital assets, and we want to see digital assets basically be integrated within these financial systems, but there's many issues that are holding us back, and interoperability is one of the key ones here. And I think that that is going to truly change the game, and I think that that's why Quant is such a massive opportunity and why you should be holding 10 Q&T at least. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.